All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises and blessings to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect, okay? Hopeful elect. Those who are and would be and was prophesied to be pushing this word, all right, this doctrine in all truth and in sincerity. All right, that means with no ulterior motives. All right, they're not doing it so they can get Mary Jane. Uh, well, trying to think of her name. Oh my goodness. Mary Jane Rotten Crotch. All right. They're not doing this word to get Mary Jane Rotten Crotches, okay, attention. All right. Uh, they're doing this, okay. They're not doing this for the riches, okay. The glamour, okay, of flying around in private jets, okay, like we see some Israelites, you know, are doing. They come in on literally on their high horse, okay. So no, man, that's not what the elect will be doing. The elect will be doing this in all humbleness, truth, and in sincerity. All right, in all vigilance and diligence. All right. Shalom to the women and children watching, learning. All right, from these lessons. Okay, and you know, blessings to you and blessings to us all. You know, because we are headed to some troubling times. All right. And this what we're looking at now. Okay, I put in current news from war in Gaza. Okay, I've been hearing brothers, and you only hear this coming from the Hebrew Israelites. All right, you wouldn't know it, you know, because they're not playing this on your local news. Okay, instead on the local news, you're being bombarded by news about so-called black men, what they're doing, okay? Poverty-stricken, oppressed black men, what they're doing, okay? To try to survive and, put food on the table, put clothes on their backs, okay? Because they have been deprived and, been subjected. They've been subjected to the teachings and the living of this devil, okay, the so-called white man here in America, okay? And so since they have been subjected, okay, made to stay in their place in this hellhole, all right, well, they have begun to mimic their oppressor, okay, and behave just like their oppressor, okay? So, we're going to look at what's going on, all right, in prophecy, because they're trying to keep this quiet, okay? BBC labels it, you have to, because, you have to say the news outlets, because they, We don't want them to try to label us, uh, you know, anti ourselves, okay? You know, or anti sim, all right? Anti simple, okay? So the BBC has Israel Gaza war, okay? UN says 90 lorry loads of aid now in Gaza after 3-day delay at crossing. The aid included flour and baby food. It was picked up 3 days after Israel eased, okay, whatever blockade they were doing. And this is troubling news to people around the world, okay? This is very, very troubling to everyone in the world to see, okay? Remember, uh, back in 1906, okay, there was a cry, okay, that started going out in Europe, all right, in Western Asia, um, of and I have the article, okay, I have the article. So it began in 1906, all right. The lie, all right, the great lie began in 1906 of a certain people um, who, you know, at that time in 1906, they were saying that they were saying then that 6 million of them, okay, this was in 1906. All right, I have the article, the newspaper article, to support it. I mean, the lie was going on every year. So uh, that 6 million of them were being starved and deprived, and over in Western Europe. Okay, and so it from 1906, okay, up to 1948. So that was very quick. Okay, and matter of fact, let me real quick get a scripture. All right, let me get a scripture real quick. This is Revelation 11 and um, 11 and 14. All right, it says 11 and 14 says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, and remember that angel, all right, gave out, two woes, all right, and Christians won't let you know this. Christians don't know this, all right, because they don't know Bible prophecy, all right. Uh, a woe represents war, all right. A woe represents war. So I'm going to have to Google it. All right, let me hit Google real fast. When did World War I begin?
According to Library of Congress, July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, beginning World War I.
Okay. So World War I began in 1914. All right. And remember, I told you in 1906 is when these people who are calling themselves uh, Jews, came up with the lie, all right, the deceit that, 6 million of them were suffering and being, things were happening to them, all right? That's when they started. So there's something that happened in 1911. I used to know all of this history like that. I haven't looked into it, but I still have it uh, documented, all right? I have it documented. So World War One began in 1914, all right? When did World War II begin?
According to FDR Presidential Library and Museum, World War II formally began on September 1st, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland without a formal declaration of war.
So, man, that was quick, right? That was quick from 1914 to 1939, all right? You had another world war, okay? And so this third woe, okay, is it, okay? This third woe will be it. And we're looking, all right, at the people, all right? You're looking at the leader of the people who will bring about the third woe, all right? Which is in Revelation, the 11th chapter, speaking of. It says, this is 11 to 14, it says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, all right? And, for the people of the world, this is bad news, all right? But for the people of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, this is good news, all right? This is the gospel, all right? People don't want to hear that this present prison, okay? For them, it could be a kingdom, okay? Even 2/3 of our people, this is a kingdom to them. They love where they're at right now, okay? But the Lord didn't create you to be, all right? Well, you were created to, ultimately to be in, but, there's always been, or not there's always been Salakia, but since the men, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, have raised up, okay, this standard, okay, the standard of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, which is this truth, and you people have rejected it. Well, you have put yourself, okay, where you should be, okay, you in the position of a pawn, All right. Sometimes a pawn could hold a great position. Okay, but a pawn will always be a pawn in a game of chess. So, all right. So, Netanyahu accuses Starmer of being on wrong side of humanity and siding with Hamas. Okay, so uh, there was an article. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. From 6 hours ago. Look at this. Look at this news, man. So this is, the people of the world. You have the Japanese. Okay, Japan suffered, multiple nuclear attacks during World War II. All right, they were hit uh, uh, multiple times. All right, maybe 10 times with nuclear weapons. Okay, for their participation uh, in World War II, siding with Germany. Okay, the Germans themselves. Okay, were their land split apart for their participation in, you know, taking over lands, and so you have these people in other countries which were aligned with them. They're all looking now and saying, look what the hell is going on in the world. Okay, but meanwhile, okay, this is being swept under the rug, and the Hebrew Israelites are being polarized. Okay, what's going on with the Hebrew Israelites are being polarized. People such as Vocab Malone, reaching, and why is this guy still reaching? What are you reaching for, man? You moving like a Momo now, man. I didn't say that you were a Momo, but I'm saying you're moving like a Momo. You're steady reaching. Okay, it's been Abu Kamar came on the scene. You know, more than 10 years ago. Okay, so you individuals have been on the scene, and you have been reaching for more than a decade. Okay, or for close to a decade, and nothing. You've been on the Hebrew Israelites. You got to expose them. But what are you exposing? What are you really exposing? Okay, so at the end of the day, you're just being a distraction. Okay, and you're getting paid to do it. All right, and what our people don't see is that these people are getting paid. $200-300 here and there to, someone give you $300, to say, oh, I was a this or I was that. That's $200-300. That's cool, especially in the day and the hour of the podcaster. I was just looking the other day uh, at the rapper, uh, and he's the host of the show. It is what it is. Cameron, all right, and Mace, all right. Cameron was saying how this other influencer, Wallow, okay, from $1 million worth of game, uh, told him how to, do the podcast thing. And, hey, these people are getting money, man. They're getting money off of this podcast and off the internet podcast. All right. I mean, a rapper don't have to make a rap album anymore. Okay. A lot of these people, they're manufacturing drama. Okay. Manufactured drama, and it's good TV. All right. It's good TV. He's making more money, but these people are making money. So, a Vocab, Malone, Dr. Brown, you see these people, then you don't see them anymore. It's because they've came in and they've got their hands on enough money to where they're good, man. Okay? Most people who work a job, they're looking uh, for a second and third income, especially in this economy. All right? This truth, you have people who that you may believe that are sincere in this truth, and they're not. And they're not. So, Vocab Malone, he hasn't exposed anything damaging, okay, about the Hebrew Israelites. And he's still stuck on them. So, what's the point, man? What's the point? A distraction, all right? While the real stuff that's going on, the real atrocities and prophecies that are popping off, they're not paying attention to. They're not reporting on. They're not looking out. All right. So the scripture, roughly paraphrasing the scripture, says, their watchmen are all dumb dogs. Okay, their watchmen are all dumb dogs. Because look what's going on, man. Let me get a scripture, all right? So the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay? And this is talking about world war, because all of those states and countries that I mentioned, they're sitting back looking at this like, you gotta be fucking kidding. Killing for fun? Well, we heard that from before. Okay? Is 3 hours ago, and this is from Al Jazeera. Israelis have killed at least 76 people across Gaza since early on Friday. Okay, medical sources tell Al Jazeera's. All right. deleting civilians for fun. Okay. 76 not here anymore after latest Israeli strikes on Gaza. CNN. Okay. Smoke rises following Israeli strikes in Jabalah. Oh my goodness. Did I touch that? In Jabalah in the northern Gaza Strip, May 15. Mahmoud Isarudis. All right. Israel ramps up strikes in Gaza. Okay. Even now, CNN gives different numbers. They said, deleting dozens. Okay. So yeah, they're doing it for fun because uh, these people have the ability uh, to strike harder. They have planes and all of that. All right. Come on. All right. This. So yeah. Genesis 27:40, and it says, "And by thy sword shalt thou live." Okay. And this is talking about Esau. And we see him living by his sword. This is what he's doing, man. Okay? Gaza. Updates. Gaza enduring cruelest phase of Israel's war. UN chief says this. So you got the United Nations taking a look at this, man. Taking a look at this. All right? So they're trying to suppress this news. All right, but we're going to bring it out. Okay? Because this is prophecy. Genesis 27:40. And by thy sword shalt thou live. Again, this is talking about these Edomites. Okay? The 1948er, the J-Man, he is an Edomite. All right? From the tribe of Amalek. All right? Out of Esau. All right? And it says, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right. And so, and this is what these Edomites are doing. All right. They have the dominion. They've broken the yoke, our yoke, from their neck. And this is what they're doing in the world. That's why when the Lord returns and they go down, the world is going to rejoice. It's going to be in rejoice again, in rejoice mode again. All right. The trees, remember the trees, the animals, because this devil is going to be put down. Okay. He's using F-Rap, $20 million jet planes. This is fun for him, man. Okay. You see it. You see it. Now they said that it was, the Hitman over in Germany during the 1940s, the Third Reich, okay, the Hitman, okay, they were saying that he was having fun. But who do you see having more fun, okay? Who do you see having more fun with deleting people? Okay, living by a sword. Hey, but y'all pointing fingers at the Hebrew Israelites. Oh, the Hebrew Israelites. All right. Job 20 and 12 says they enjoyed the sweet taste of wickedness, letting it melt under their tongue. So this is what Esau loves, man. Okay? He loves this. They savored it, holding it long in their mouths. So they've been doing this, deleting these, Palestinians for a long time since since they've came into the land. It has been no peace. Okay, since they've went there has been no peace. All right, and no peace in the earth has there been since they've been there because they are not supposed to be there. But you pointing fingers at the Hebrew Israelite, oh, y'all stealing somebody's identity. Sounding slow and retarded. Sound like one of these podcasters, all right? So they savored it, holding it long in their mouths. Verse 14, but suddenly, okay, and this is from the NLT, all right? You can read the King James Version, but I'm going to read the NLT right now. It says, but suddenly the food in their belly turns sour, a poisonous venom in their stomachs. Yeah, because they're eating up all of these lands. Remember, uh, another one of their blessings was the fatness of the earth. And they had the fatness of the earth. They have it already. But that's not enough. Okay? Going back to the parable, if a robber came to thee by night, roughly paraphrasing the scripture, and taking the grapes, okay? But this devil's gonna take he's gonna steal your grape tree, the vine. He's gonna steal the vine. All right. It says, but suddenly the food in their belly turns sour, a poisonous venom in their stomach. All right. It's a trap. But they don't care. Okay. Verse 15, they will vomit the wealth they swallowed. God won't let them keep it down. Yeah, so you're not going to enjoy it. See the Rothschilds, man. Jake knew if you had one inkling, all right, of any sense, and just look at how the Rothschilds, look at the properties. I worked, all right, in a Rothschild establishment. Okay, I says they will suck the poison of cobras. The viper will kill them. Yeah, the Lord is coming to delete you Edomites, all of you, right? Says they will never again enjoy streams of olive oil or rivers of milk and honey. See, they're back in the land. Okay, they're back in the land now. Okay, or they're not back, but they're in the land now. Okay, they were there as Romans. Okay, but they're there now and they're enjoying. All right, the milk, the honey. Okay, the oil. Salakia. All right, the riches. All right. It says, what was I, 17? So they, hey, and then they understand this truth, man. Okay, they have turned, they calling themselves Jews. All right, says they will give back everything they worked for. So they didn't work for this. All right, their wealth will bring them no joy. Okay, and it's not because they're paying. They're not able to live it up because they're paying for uh uh well uh what are they, Raptors, F-16s, F-22s, whatever they are. Okay, these jets, these tanks, these missile defenses. Okay, guns, ammo. All right, and they're being and shit. They're getting billions of dollars from countries, man, every year. And these are the same people who don't want you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans to get reparations, but they're getting them. All right. Verse 19 says, "For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes." All right. And that's what this devil has done, man. All right. He owns the banks. He owns the weapons. Okay. And you're pointing your fingers at the Hebrew Israelites and saying you don't want to be a part of the Hebrew Israelites anymore. Okay? A lot of you are just digging your own grave. You got one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel. It says, "For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes." Verse 20, "They were always greedy and never satisfied." Always. Okay? Always greedy. That's why Europe kicked them out of Europe. Okay? The British made a deal. Okay? Lord Balfour made a deal with the Rothschilds. Okay? Because Amalek is greedy. The J-man is greedy. All of the Edomites are greedy. That's how they sold their blessing. And never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. All right? Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. And that's what everyone is saying. Look, Gaza is over with, man. Okay? America is over with. All right? It's done. It's a wasteland now. And it's going to be a lake of fire at the time of this third woe. All right? And that's what we are doing as Hebrew Israelites, all right? Prophesying, okay? Because the grace is a gift. Grace is for those who listen, all right? You could do a zillion, trillion videos, all right? But if you are not taking heed to this word, to the message of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, well, then you're not going to receive grace. All right. So a lot of these Christians don't understand what grace really is. All right. And you can read on, all right, in Job. the 20th chapter. And it's 1:30. The birds are already out, very active, man. It's gay. That's amazing. Hear them in the background. All right. Let me finish reading this one. Job 20:21. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. All right. Remember, I told you if the roughly paraphrasing the scripture, if the grape gleaners, right? You know what scripture I'm talking about. But these Edomites, you know, they come along and they eat every grape and take the tree. They'll take your grape tree. Say, therefore, their prosperity will not endure. All right? What you gonna do now, Esau? So with that being said, Lord willing, you are edified. We're living in some interesting times now. All right. And Lord will, we don't have to go through another year of subjection under this devil, man. Okay? So, you brothers who, hey, you getting too comfortable in this world, man. A lot of you men are getting too comfortable in this world. All right? And hey, that shit'll suck you in, man. It's a vacuum effect. That's why you have these people saying, oh, I'm not a Hebrew Israelite anymore. It was a code. They did this. They did that. Hey, there's too much. Okay. It's too much, man. For a person to even fix their lips to say some shit like that, man. But anyway, Lord willing, you are edified. And until next time, Shalom.